Alright, now we continue for chapter 2, fundamental principle. So for the precautionary principles, consensus statement characterize the precautionary principles this way: when an activity raises threat of harm to human health or the environment, precautionary measures should be taken even if some of causes and effects relationships are not fully established scientifically. The precautionary principles proposed as a new guidelines in environmental decision-making has four central components. First, taking preventive action in the face of uncertainty and shifting the burden of proof to the prominence of an activities. Then, exploring a wide range of alternatives to possibly harmful actions and increasing the public participations in decision making. So for the precautionary principles, encourage the policy that protect human health and the environments in the face of uncertain risks. In this part, since it's not a new concept, and some may object to giving a new name when similar ideas go by different names in other disciplines. For examples, public health practitioners use the term primary preventions to mean much the same things. The physical obligations to the first to harm is a precautionary approach to treating a sick person. Alright, then we go to the definition of system. According to Portland reports, the concept that needs of the present without compromise of the future to meet their own needs. However, according to one conference on the environment summit, from call it as bring in how to meet the development economy sustainable. We need to have a social elements, we need to have a social economics, and also we need have a uh, environmental aspect. Then for the socials, economies and environments, we need to have a balance. Not 100% just focus on the economics, not just focus 100% focus on the environment, and not just focus 100% for social. So to make a sustainable developments, we need to balance with socials, economics and environmental elements. Then for every indicators for every main indicators for the sustainable developments, we have the sub point for every indicators. For example, for the social indicators, we have qualities of life, we have educations, and we have a community developments, equal opportunities, and also we have a law and ethics. And for the economies, we have a smart growth, we have a long range plannings, we have a cost saving, R&D spending, and cost of living. And for the environmental, we have resources management, we have environmental protections, and also we have a habitats restorations and preventions. Then this one, the criteria for the principles of sustainable developments. First, we have a living within environmental limits, achieve sustainable economies, and then we have a promoting a good governance using a sound science responsibility, and then ensuring a strong, healthy, and just society. All right, then we go to the Rio Declarations on the environments and developments, fleshing out the definition by listing 18 principles of sustainability. So for the real declarations, a few principles like they focus on the health and productive life in harmony with the natures. They also focus on the developments and present environment for the needs for the uh, for the future generations, and also they focus on their sources, global sources actually, not over exploitations for the sources, and also the controls for the a few cases related on the environments, and then they come out with the principle of precautionary principles to protect the environment. Then we go to the poverty issues. For the real declarations, also they focus on the poverties to reduce for the poverty issues because of the impacts from the poverties. Of course, the pollution impacts from the poverties. Then also they are focused on the environmental issues, how to handle the best actions they take for the environmental issue, for the climate change issue, especially for the climate change, and then for the ecosystem, marine ecosystem, they also focus on the right. Then we go to the polluter pay principle, or we call it as a triple P. All right. For the triple Ps, actually, there are recommendations of the OECD, or Organization for Economic Cooperations and Developments, on 26 May 1972. All right, next we go to the functions of triple Ps. The main functions, according to OECD, actually triple Ps allocation of cost of pollutions, preventions, and control, the measure to encourage rational use, scale environmental resource, and to avoid restrictions in the international trades and investment. The polluter should bear the expense of carry out the measure decided by public authorities to ensure that the environment is an acceptable state. Triple P also have under Rio Declarations on Environments and Developments under Principle 16. Alright, then we go to the process of triple Ps. First, they need to have preventions and control measures. Then they need to have a clean up the causes, and then integrated pollutions and control. For examples, one industry, they're doing any emissions then, or they're doing a pollutions, so they need to doing their preventions before any emissions, they produce any emissions, and then however they still doing the pollutions, and then they need to pay how to calculate, like a carbon trades process, they need to pay any pollution they're doing to state or governments. Then we go to the concept of the pollution. Any emissions, any pollutions from any factories, and then any activities from agricultures, So that one is the pollutions. Then we go to the who is the polluters. Actually, who are doing pollutions? So who are the polluters? Is it from the activities or the who are the produce the emissions like factories or customer, because we are buying lots of products, right? So we are produce the pollutions. So who are the polluters? Actually, every process from the triple P's, actually we have potential to make as a polluters. So how about the pay? Who are need to pay? Who are doing the pollutions need to pay as a triple P process. After doing any emissions, doing produce any pollutions, they need to pay. So cost of preventive and precautionary measures, that's a measure how to pay, how much you need to pay. Let's say one industry they are doing a pollution. For example, Honda company, dia buatlah emissions. Dia buang apa ni, dia punya any emissions. Alright, for the triple P's in international law, some of triple P are involved in conventions and also involved under WTO, World Trade Organization law. For the triple P's, the general principle of the law of as a rules of the customary law as a provided for in Article 38 of the Statute of the International Court of Justice. All right, now we goes to the some of the statute of the International Court of the Justice under Article 38 under triple P's in international law. So as you can see, a few elements are clauses under triple P's for the statute of the International Court of the Justice. Yeah. All right, next we go to instrument to implement triple P's. For instruments, some of the instrument is common and control laws. For this one, environmental binding standards, like emission limits value. This one is the best available techniques we can use to implement triple P's. Because once we want to implement triple P's, all right, any factories can reduce their emissions, so they can using any methods, any mitigation techniques to reduce emission, like using any filter through the punya terowong asap dan sebagainya lah. Alright, next we have economic instruments. This one maybe we can use any permits, tax and any apa ni, kita kata bolehlah kurangkan apa ni, pembayaran lah, which is once bila you produce any eco-friendly products and when you reduce any emissions, you can get some of the tax assumptions. Alright, next we have voluntary approaches, which is this one maybe parts of the NGO, apa ni orang kata, peranan lah, dia punya peranan. Alright, this one elaborations from the instrument to implement triple P. This one likes a conceptual process to implement triple Ps. For the common and control laws, next we have a market-based instrument and soft law. So any industry they can choose which instrument they want to use. However, for the common and control law is necessary, is necessary, but however for the market-based instrument and soft law is optional, so that they need to fulfill any criteria for the common and control laws, any regulations, like they need to have a lesson wants to apa ni orang kata, uh, produce emissions, and then preventions, and then they need to follow any regulations, and then for the emission limits value, and any factories they need to follow the limits of the emissions. If they produce over limits for the emissions, they need to pay. So Then for the administrative and orders sections, this one they need to follow all the regulations. Of course, in Malaysia we have a Environmental Quality Act 1974. And then for the market-based instruments is optional. Depends on the industry. They can create the market-based instrument for their organizations, or just focus on the common and control laws. Then for the market-based instrument, maybe once they produce any products, if environmental friendly product, or they are reduce their emissions, they control very well their emissions so that they can get the subsidy and tax assumptions. All right. Then for the soft law, for this one is more to um, management parts actions, like they apply for ISO 40,000, and they create a good labels for their products, like the eco labels products, so they have their own logo for their products is good, for their product, for apa tu kata mesra lah, for environmental friendly.